As the Oracle, I want to be empathetic. As the Oracle, I want to feel what others feel and consider how others will react. Every decision must be for the benefit of the many, not the few. I will be dedicated to causes greater than myself. Previous oracles were peacemakers, decision makers. I want to look further than that. I want to look at the whole, not the pieces. Guide the aspirations toward the end, not the means.
There were other oracles who took this road. The very first, in fact. They built the sanctuaries, private places, where each aspiration could be separate from the others. Places where we could feel safe, unthreatened. The war did not end immediately, but its intensity lessened as we were given the space for rational thought. It was an idea we could never have conceived of.
But then, how did they end the war?
There was only one possibility. They also had to bring peace to Brittle.
Say something funny?
You looked like you were reading from a script, talking about the first oracle.
Oh, I didn't realize. But I don't think any of it was particularly funny. Hey, what's so funny?
Nothing. Sorry. We just... Honestly, all the history is interesting, but it's not primetime stuff, you know? We want to hear about actions. Real stuff we can work on, stuff that can make a difference. Like, how did this first oracle settle the conflicts in Brittle?
Going by the folks here, the prescients, the oracle must have been pretty powerful. Definitely powerful enough to stop a war.
The first oracle split their time between the realms. They learned from the aspirations, but also their fellow humans. This was their skill. Duality of perspective. But to end the war in Brittle, they ended up spending more time there than in Reverie. They spread the word of their sister realm and the aspirations that lived there. They told people the lessons they'd learned there, used those lessons to improve the world. Soon, the population gathered around the Oracle, willing them to bring peace. And soon, the Oracle gained the power needed to fulfill that wish. The Oracle asked that the aspirations empower the people of Brittle so that they could shape their own fate. Grateful for the Oracle's role in ending their war, the aspirations granted this wish. And so, the gift of prescience was bestowed upon Athena. The aspirations believed that the prescience would usher society forward into new and intriguing possibilities. Together, they rallied the populace and created a united front against suffering and injustice.
This was back when Athena was facing its darkest days. There was an ecological disaster. The specifics are lost to time, but we know the population was devastated by vicious storms, which brought floods and mudslides. Then, as they are wont to do, a dictator arose, taking advantage of the pain and suffering to wield absolute power. The people were despondent. The ruling class's own inadequacy provided the perfect distraction. As they lurched from one calamity to the next, the populace grew ever more apathetic. And when there were signs of rebellion, half the populace looked away or sided against their own interests.
It was up to the Oracle to break this cycle. To break the system that had enslaved the people. So they had to act. They decided to. The Oracle had faith in the people to dig themselves out. They pursued a path of knowledge, teaching the populace a different way to live. The foundations of new forms of government were built, curiosity reigned, and people studied the world around them. What's more, people shared their knowledge. They didn't secret it away or censor it. They taught one another. This gave them more power through the sum of that knowledge. They decided to... They decided to start again. Thanks to the gift of prescience, the Oracle and a select few decided to begin a new cycle, outside of the old. They believed Athena had become unsalvageable, that they had to instead create the world they wanted to live in. The Oxion civilization collapsed. After a few decades, all that was left were some musty books and ruins. The tyrant destroyed the rest. But the Oracle and their followers were safe. They found a corner of Athena to call home, a space where the tyrant's influence was weak. They created their own way of life and lived in peace.
So what? This oracle and their cultists just left the rest to hang?
My thoughts precisely.
And they thought this tyrant would just let them be? Let me guess. That didn't happen?
But wait, change is a long-term process, right? You told me that.
Sure.
So how do you enact long-term change if there's no one around to, actually change things? That dictator guy, long gone, consigned to the history books. How many people here have even heard of him? What if that's because of the seeds the Oracle planted on their own terms?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you're right. So go on then. Which aspiration are you going to choose? Who becomes the heart?
Connection, empathy. Yeah. I think Bond would have been Grandpa's choice too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right.
It has been a long, long time since I was elected heart. Maybe because humans often associate kindness and understanding with weakness and frailty. But when I am placed at the center of reverie, connections are made. Art, creativity, trade, all flourish. Eras under my guidance often see the growth of incredible civilizations. But often, these cultures would grow cruel and overwhelming. When expansion required it, colonization often came. I will never get used to the duality of your kind, capable of such incredible empathy and such cold devastation.
I've dedicated my whole life to the pursuit of truth. Historical truth, emotional truth, philosophical truth. So, I think you can see where my preferences lie here.
I would certainly be a valid choice. Many of your kind, like this young man, are naturally drawn to me. But this is often because they believe I know your kind better than you know yourselves. Regardless, in previous eras where I took the position of heart, learning increased, knowledge flourished. So too did religion, the institutional search for the greater truth. Systemic institutions grew in power. Governments, religious authorities, educational systems. But the truth is nothing if not rigid, immovable, definite. Truth does not mean equality. It means serving a greater purpose.
It's gotta be bliss. I mean, surely. The embodiment of happiness in charge of, fate? Hard to see any other option beating that.
Oh, stop it! That's so nice! I'm almost never chosen to be the heart. Loads of oracles thought happiness was, I don't know, too easy. That there was some greater purpose for the heart, beyond making sure everyone was living their best life. That the heart had to be serious or political. But that's not right, is it? All the tech and politics and systems and life. What's it about if not just being happy?
Well, even I wasn't expecting that. Look, you know as well as I do that I've made mistakes in the past. But progress is my whole vibe, darling. Reconstruction, rebuilding, forward, forward, forward. Before the whole mess with the egregor, this world had never known such rapid advancement in, well, everything. But I'm always the first to recognize my own shortcomings. Well, second or third, at least. Materialism is part and parcel of my gifts. Glory, the idea of it, does also tend to promote a certain self-centered outlook on life.